The presenting sponsor of Upmarket is Aereo, the best place to grow and manage your real estate media business online at aereo.com. That's ARYEO.com. Coming to you from the makeshift Upmarket studios in windy Oxnard, California, this is Upmarket, a podcast about the business of real estate photography and media. My name is Reed Fish. I am the CEO and a co-founder of Upmarket Media. Oh man, Mark Corcoran, another co-founder, our COO here today with us. Oh, Mark, like 3 in a row. I think this is 4 in a row. I don't know. It's a lot of podcasts in a row. And guess who else is joining us? Chelsea Froehlich, producer.
I'm here.
Oh, wonderful. And Chelsea, you're going to have a little different role today. You're kind of a guest on the podcast as well, because you know what we're doing today? We're talking about employees. And so we wanted to get an employee perspective. And so Chelsea, you're here to, in addition to, just producing, which you just pressed play on the camera. That was super good producing, which is available on our YouTube channel. You're going to have to answer some hard questions about what it's like to work for Upmarket Media.
Oh boy.
And Chelsea's the OG employee, right?
Well, yeah. The OG one left. Yeah, exactly. But you know what? Would it be fun if it was just Chelsea? It would, of course. But I think it's even more fun to have another Upmarket employee that we've talked about on the show, but is now going to be here live and in the flesh. It's Nikki, how do you say your last name? I don't think I've ever said it.
Bashor.
That's a good one.
Yeah, so that's, and you've worked for us for almost 2 years. I don't know how to pronounce your last name, Bashor. Okay, it's Nikki Bashor, who is, what's your title, Nikki, actually? And you're a photographer.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, with Upmarket Media. Okay, so Nikki, I'm going to hit you with a hard question.
Oh, dear.
It's a two-parter first.
Okay.
Who is your favorite boss and why is it me? And why is it me?
Chelsea, are you my boss?
No. Oh, okay. Actually, the real first question I have, and I'm, because Chelsea's been on the podcast so much, I'm excited to have the fresh meat. So I'm going to hit Nikki first here. Nikki, when you've been working for us for almost 2 years, right? Mm-hmm. And my big question is actually, when you kind of applied for the job or, first contacted us, what did you think the job would be like? And then what has surprised you about what the job is actually like?
Oh man, that is a really good question.
Thanks.
Well, I did portrait photography for years. So real estate was really kind of a brand new thing to me. I had really no experience in it before. So, but I took a lot of comfort in knowing that there was going to be training involved, and I was really intimidated about, the drone photography and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't really sure what to think, but I was definitely excited to, try something new.
Mm-hmm. But from the outside looking in, you were, why did you apply? Was it just like, I want to change. I'm interested in real estate photography, or just, I need some more money. I mean, what, and what was kind of your motivation?
I was definitely interested in a change. I had just moved to California, and initially I was trying to pick up doing portrait photography again, but I was just really kind of bored with it. I kind of lost the joy in it a little bit. So I did want to try something different. So definitely just wanting a change.
All right. And so then once you got in with us, what surprised you about it?
It was surprisingly easier than I expected it to be honest.
I think that's because the training was just...
the training was good. I definitely really enjoy it for sure. I guess that was probably the bigger surprise. I didn't realize just how much I would like it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You seem to have an actual affinity, like you enjoy houses and different homes and different views and different things that you kind of get into the nitty-gritty event.
Right, for sure.
I know you didn't realize how much you were going to love our clients.
Definitely, for sure. No, it definitely part of it, being new to California and seeing, like you said, Mark, like seeing the homes and the views and the, I love kind of getting to travel around and see these different areas, and that's definitely part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, instead of just driving through neighborhoods, you actually get in the houses and see what it's like. And it's kind of fun.
But coming from the portrait world though was like I mean, I guess, and it's a different workflow because you're part of a company and you're not having to do it all yourself. I'm assuming when you were doing portraits, you were like shooting and editing and delivering and you're running the whole business yourself. But because I think what I think of as in real estate photography is so different than other genres is just the speed. It's like not only is it the speed of actually going in and shooting and getting, 30, 40, 50 usable pictures in under an hour. But it's like, that's got to be turned around tomorrow. And obviously you're not so much on the back end of that, but was that an adjustment for you?
It was easy. It was an easy adjustment. I love that. I mean, you know how much I love editing, but it's still nice to.
That's actually not facetious. She actually does enjoy editing.
I really do. I really do quite a bit. So I do kind of miss that aspect of things, not being able to do that, but there's definitely something to be said for, having a day turnaround time is really, really valuable. So I definitely, that definitely makes things a lot easier. You just go, you shoot, and you send, and that's definitely
and I was actually just struck because as we were setting up to record the podcast this morning, Mark was saying, "Oh, I had to go back and I had to go to this Amalfi address and reshoot the views." And it was a shoot that you had done like I want to say a week ago, and there's been almost no shoots over the last couple of weeks. And you're like, "Which one was that again?" And it's like, so it seems to me that they kind of leave your consciousness once you send the.
Oh yeah. I mean, sort of. I will sometimes. I'll be curious to see how they turned out, so I look at them the next day and see. Okay, that turned out really good, or maybe I might have done that one differently. So I do try to check my work afterwards at some point. Not always.
That makes you a good employee.
Exactly. It just kind of depends.
We really appreciate that about you.
Oh,
I mean, in your first year with us, it was kind of looking back now, like. We had you doing kind of the first pass and the quality control and that kind of stuff on the photos.
Yes.
And I think just having that skill set or knowing what's going on behind the scenes kind of helps you when you're shooting, helps you when you're uploading.
Yeah, it definitely gives me a different perspective, kind of knowing what kind of things to look for.
Yeah. And so for the listeners, at a certain point, our volume was so high with shoots and Chelsea was doing that final quality control pass each morning, but it was just like sabotaging everything else about our mornings. And so Mark and I didn't want to do it. And so then we, asked Nikki because she wanted to get more hours and she was also did like editing to do that final pass. And then we thought, this is great. She gets to see what all the photos look like and what works and what doesn't. And I do think that was a really great thing. But then even with having Nikki doing it, when we got busier, it just felt like, Nikki's spending too much time doing this is taking her away from actually getting out there and shooting. And so, as we've talked about on the podcast, we're trying to have a different route for our quality control. But I do think that was a pretty smart maneuver on our part, not on
another
purpose,
genius move.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys are so smart. Wow. No.
Thanks, Nikki. Thank you.
And it was fun because, Nikki just loves cloning out like garbage cans.
Oh,
Yeah, she literally.
I love it.
She loves doing that.
And like when I see Reed or Mark in the reflection of the glass, I get to edit that out. Like, somebody wasn't looking.
Well, that's usually one of the other shooters, not me or
Not
no,
me.
never.
No, I would never.
Never.
So you picked it up pretty quickly, and then I mean, have you found like? I guess what's your experience like on shoots, being an employee? Because so many of our listeners and us, we go in and we're, we own the company. So much of it is about schmoozing, the clients and all that. And I know we've always tried to empower our employees to, hey, be friendly, be whatever. But, ultimately you can't care as much as we do, or it's like you're also there just to get that job done. And and like we all do when we go, we have these other appointments we got to get to and stuff. Like how in the employee role, I mean, how do you feel walking into a house? I mean, do you feel comfortable? Do you feel, and obviously now you probably know some of the realtors, you've worked with them before, but is there something that you're feeling when you go in?
I mean, I've definitely got more comfortable, as time is, I guess next month is 2 years, right? That I've been with you guys. So just getting more comfortable with the job itself, just, makes me feel like when I walk in, I can focus on the agent. If they're there, I can try to be personable and make sure that they know that if there's anything that they want to clarify with me or want to make sure that I avoid or be sure to feature. I don't have any qualms about that at all. I encourage them to let me know if there's anything that they need from me in particular. But yeah, I mean, I feel pretty comfortable going in,
Yeah. And I feel like you have confidence now.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
So once you get enough shoots under your belt, and the technical photography part of it is kind of on autopilot almost. That you can focus on that other stuff, and you're not like, oh, is my camera on the right side or whatever.
Right, definitely. Because I know, starting off, you're more concerned about making sure you get the right shots and you're not overshooting or whatever. But yeah, once you get more comfortable, you can definitely be more personable when you're not thinking so much of the technical aspect.
You kind of get into the flow of the shoot, and you can focus on the other stuff. If you're walking into a homeowner or a dog or whatever's going on, it's not going to throw you off, kind of thing. You can handle that. You always have to be prepared to. When I go into a property, I do kind of have a groove that I like to follow, but that you can't always do that. You have to be prepared to adapt and be flexible depending on what the agent or the homeowner needs. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So are you like us now where your favorite shoot is just on a lockbox and nobody's there?
Yeah. Definitely.
That's the dream.
Yeah, that's the ideal.
Well, how has it been for you dealing with realtors?
For the most part, they're fine. I mean, there's obviously, there's always going to be, a few of them that you have to be a little bit more sensitive to and make sure that.
God, look at how Nikki is so smooth. Oh yeah, you got to be more sensitive too.
I mean, I don't know.
Naming names,
I get it. No, I get it. I know sometimes you're just, some people are more particular, and that's okay. I know if it were me, I'd probably be particular too. So just try to be understanding.
I guess, but I feel like you'd let someone do their job, after being in the position. You're just like, oh yeah. Well, because I think we've had feedback for sure from other employees that dealing with realtors, and some of those other employees are sitting here with us, that dealing with realtors is, one of the hardest parts of the job. That, you show up and the place isn't ready and they're, and whatever, the realtors or whatever. So you've been able to navigate that all right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it's not a challenge. It's definitely, that's the biggest challenge about this job is showing up and the property is not ready, but just kind of go with the flow. And I do feel like having time to deal with those things when they show up, that makes it a little less stressful. When you're kind of crunched for time, that's when you're like, okay, I really need this to be ready. And sometimes they're just moving really slow and you're like, I have another shoot I need to get to. So I think kind of having the time managed in a way where you have time to deal with those kind of things definitely makes it a little easier. It's like, it's okay. We got time, whatever we need to do.
Yeah. And you had that feedback for us, right? In terms of scheduling of like, hey, you know what? If it's ready, I can shoot it this quickly, but I feel like, you kind of ask for more time allotted for shoots, right? And and then Chelsea, you've been doing that, right?
Yeah, that's been a big thing for me, just because if I'm back to back with shoots and I got to, these little things when you have to make these adjustments, they take time to deal with.
Sometimes you'll get there and you're 20 minutes into the shoot and you haven't even taken a photo yet.
Yeah, I feel like if I show up and in the first 10 minutes I'm not started, like I'm like, okay, how is the rest of my day going to go? So having that extra time scheduled really makes a big difference.
Yeah. And from the employer perspective, I mean, we want you to feel comfortable, but at the same time, we also, don't want to have, and especially when we're busy, if we're allowing an extra half hour per shoot, then that's a shoot or two that we can't do that day, with you. So it's, I think for us, we always try to squeeze it. And I know for Mark and I, when we're scheduling ourselves, we're just like as quick as possible. But I think that I was really happy that we got that feedback, because that did allow us to step back and look at it and be like, okay, and that's kind of the point of this podcast is like, of this episode is like, how does it feel to be in that position, and what are the things that are important to you and what do you need, you know? And so, Chelsea, how have you been dealing with the realtors in the admin role lately? How are you feeling?
Well, right now it's okay because things are a little slow and, everyone's just at that slow pace still. So everyone's kind and in good spirits, but we'll see as time goes on and we'll see.
So is there any other feedback that you guys have, or that you have about, things that you've said that have made your job easier that you noticed that we weren't, kind of doing?
The time's been a big one for me, and that, that's just kind of recently implemented a little bit extra time, and that really makes all the difference to me for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I felt so bad. I was like, oh no, I don't want her to feel stressed.
No, and it's a tough
out.
juggling act for Chelsea, obviously, because it's just all of that stuff is unpredictable, right?
Yeah.
So you have to kind of work it into every shoot just in case, but not too much. And then the realtor's like, I need it tomorrow, but you're
on my
booked.
end, everyone's always ready. Everything's ready. That's what
of
they
course.
tell me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's ready to go. It's good. And then Nikki's like, I showed up.
No.
And they're moving stuff around.
Yeah,
Every
No.
room we go into, I'm like, okay, so not ready.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, no.
Most of the time, they're not ready.
And there's some agents that are kind of repeat offenders, right? So it's almost like when we see them come up, then we need to schedule even a little bit more for them.
Definitely. That's for sure.
Without carving out our entire day for that agent. But
And I do know that the agent a lot of times is dealing with homeowners that live in the house. So it's kind of hard for them to schedule the time to, get the house ready. And then if the homeowners are not really working in harmony with that, then that makes it a challenge for them.
Well, here's what I'll say to that is that there are certain realtors who that's how it is. They do it every single time.
Right.
So guess what? You can do it. So that's just and I know, every realtor has that client that they can't manage, but the really good realtors manage the clients.
Sure.
Their clients. And just as it's our job to manage our clients, it's their job to manage their clients.
Yeah.
And some of them are good at it and some of them are
Not so much.
most of them are.
It needs
like
some work.
you need to sit down and say, okay, we're having a photo shoot. This is what's going to happen. You need to be out of the home. The home needs to be ready. I'll be here an hour before to help you. But, a lot of times the realtor pulls up with you and like, oh, let's see what we got today, Mark. And
You're like, oh, you weren't ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
It still surprises me when I have realtors call. And these are not new realtors, but they'll be like, what do we need to do to have the house ready? I'm like, well, I can send you our home prep guide, but I feel like you should know that.
Yeah. And I think to be fair, part of it is on us because we need to do a better job educating certain realtors about what the expectations are and what makes for a good shoot. And so we kind of take it for granted that people know, or that we can just send them the one sheet of like, okay, put away the clutter and move the trash cans. It's like, that's oftentimes not enough because, and I know Mark's thing, and I had never actually thought about it that way, but he always says how, oh God, when you show up at the same time with the realtor, it's a disaster.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not there ahead of time, making sure everything's okay, then it's often, unless it's a staged house and they just have to open it up. But even then it's like, okay, they're going on, turning on all the damn lights and opening the blinds. And, it still takes 10 minutes because ideally, obviously when we walk in, we can start shooting immediately.
Yeah, they're like, where do you want to start? And you're like, right here. And you just pull them and start going.
Get out of my way.
Get out of the way.
Yeah, and I tell agents too in person, like, you can use us. We can be the bad guy. If you're having trouble managing your client, just let them know, the photographer really needs this to make your home look the best. So let's, rather than being awkward for the agent and the homeowner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just had a vision of like a dream scenario where we had an employee that showed up to every shoot every day, 15 minutes before
The prepper.
photographer and prepped the home.
Oh, well,
Then went on to the next shoot.
we
Wouldn't that
could,
be nice?
That's the thing is, then you get into it's staging and you get it, but that would be like,
well, just the basic, just putting away the trash cans.
Could be a good job
like
for a CEO, maybe.
yeah. Sorry.
You go schmooze with the realtor for a minute and
keep them busy while the photographer's shooting.
CEO / pillow fluffer.
Yeah.
I think this is a good idea, guys.
Yeah, it sounds amazing.
Say thanks, Chelsea.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the biggest complaint. So the other thing that we did, or should we talk? Well, let's talk about that in the second half. Like what? I guess is there anything else that sticks out? And Chelsea, you can answer this too. Of being like just what about this industry has that you didn't know before you did it, even if it wasn't surprising, but that you didn't know?
Well, for me, I honestly didn't know anything about the real estate industry either when I started. But I think the biggest surprise for me has just been how tricky customer service can be in dealing with clients.
Right.
Because everyone is so different, and sometimes they just come off so mean to me for no reason.
Right.
And then, you guys will talk to them and they're fine. But to me, it's like a whole different.
Or over text or over email, you get a certain tone, but you pick up the phone and they're like actually
nice,
kind of chill about it. Yeah.
So I think it's just.
Well, and I wonder if part of that is like that people are a little more on their best behavior because we're the owners.
Oh, of course.
They are above you in the hierarchy, so they can, it's just like when you see someone be mean to a server at a restaurant that that that's not a good person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've even vented after I get those phone calls. I won't name names, but I'll go on Slack and I'm like, oh, this person loves to treat me like I'm their assistant.
Right.
Like I don't work for them.
Right.
Totally. How do I upload this? What do I do here? What's this?
And they'll just keep me on the phone for half an hour while they're messing around on their browser, updating it. I'm like, I have other things I need to be doing right now, but I can't be rude, So I think that's been tricky for me. It's just navigate, because I'm such a nice, I don't like confrontation either.
Right. So you want to say yes. You want to, make them happy. But
navigating that and how to properly deal with those situations has been tricky for me.
Right. And in the admin role, that's probably, most people see that as like, oh, this, they're there for me to dump on. Right? And so I'm curious, Nikki, do you get attitude from realtors out there?
Yeah, sometimes. I would say so. I mean, again, just them kind of being particular about certain things. And sometimes I feel like they'll want me to reshoot a room because they had to move something.
Oh, yeah,
and then I'm like, oh, should I have moved that? I'm not I try to kind of keep an eye on details and stuff. But then sometimes if I've already shot a room and they want me, hey, can you shoot this room again? I needed to move this, dish soap off the thing. I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't see that. And then I'm worried, are they thinking I'm doing a bad job because I didn't notice that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we all don't notice. Well, and you can always fall back on, our policy is we don't move anything.
Right, right.
But obviously, though, you will tell people, I think you should move that dish soap. And
yes, usually I do. It kind of depends on my frame of mind at the time. But
well, and it also depends on the so many things are judgment calls. Some people don't mind the soap. Sometimes the soap is actually part of the staging. Sometimes it looks good, but if it's like, the cheap brand that's half full and crusty, obviously that should be moved.
Sure.
But,
But as far as attitude, people are mostly nice for the most part. I don't get a lot of attitude, but.
And how do you find because I get this a lot, and you probably do too, is like, oh, you're the professional, Mark. What do you think? Should we put this pillow here or this here? Or should we put the blanket here or throw it here?
Oh, yes.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a stager.
I'm not a professional stager. But.
Yeah, I don't know if that should go there. Whatever you think.
I had someone throw that line to me on my second shoot ever that I did.
Nice.
It was like, oh, Reed, you're the professional. What do you think?
Gosh.
I'm like, I put a lot of thought into this. And
do we need 6 lemons or 4 lemons? What's it going to be? Yeah.
I don't know. I do my best to I think it would look better if it's like this or,
And sometimes it's the old thing. Well, have you seen the trick that sound engineers do? They'll be in a mixing room and the client will be like, oh, I don't know. And it just needs a little more of this. And then they'll just turn a knob and then they'll be like, oh, is it that better? And the knob is not connected to anything. And then the person's like, oh yeah, it's great.
It's better.
Yeah. And they just want to feel heard, know? And I think that's so much of it. And we all suffer from that, when we have to make decisions, right? You're always scared that you're making the wrong decision. So they just need validation.
Sure.
So often when I can tell what they want, I will just oh yeah, I think that's great. Unless I really know that it's not going to be great, because it doesn't matter if it's 4 lemons or 6 lemons.
Right.
Actually, it should be an odd number. That's the staging. That is the staging rule, that you want it to be in 3s and whatever.
Yeah, so. It's just an opinion, right? So if you give them an opinion or kind of affirm what they're thinking, then
yeah. And so much of it is that they just want you want to walk in and it seems like you are the boss, and because in a way we are. It's our set. When we're walking in, whether it's you or me or anybody, we're walking in there. It's our set. We should be the boss, and I feel like that's kind of what. One of the things that I did, and it's kind of hard to articulate, but it's like, do you feel when you're an employee, do you feel like when you walk into these shoots that you are empowered to be the boss, because it is different when Mark and I walk in and I think, oh, they're the owner of the company, and I've literally had people like introduce me as, this is the owner of the company. Now that we don't shoot as much, we get some realtors are, oh wow, the owner showed up, this is really special, right? But do you feel, and we touched on it earlier, but do you feel that confidence when you walk in that you can direct the show?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of getting to that point where I'm feeling more confident, but it really does depend on the agent. If I come in and
Sure.
the agent really seems to have a grasp on what they want, I'm more than happy to step back and let them run the show as long as I can do my job. But for the most part, I feel pretty confident when I come in.
Yeah. Well, because the goal is the same on all that. We just want to get in and get out and have the photos look nice.
Right.
And do it in as quick a time as possible. So whatever helps to that end, where you're like, okay, do that.
Exactly.
Or just like, oh yeah, you got it. Okay, you deal with the homeowner.
Yeah.
And that's the ideal.
For sure.
The homeowner should be at the movies is what the homeowner should be.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's take a little break. We're going to talk more about what's happened in the last few months with our company and how Nikki has progressed and what we've been working on. But we're going to take a break. We're going to talk social media. Nikki's got social media. We all have social media here. So we're going to talk about that, and we'll be back for a lot more. And we got 4 action items today. It's almost an action item spectacular. It's the mini spectacular. It's the basic package.
Nice.
All right. What's your favorite thing about Aereo? Lay it on me, fast, quick.
Favorite thing? I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what my favorite thing is that our employees have access to Aereo, and they can go in and, just like you said earlier, they can review the work that they've done. So once the shoots are edited, once they're up there, our employees have logins. They can go in and we can control actually granularly what the employees see. So hey, not every employee has access to the invoices. Not every employee has access to the scheduling, but they can go in there, look at the photos, download photos, do all that, and review their work. I think that for an employee is one of the best features about Aereo.
I definitely do that.
Okay, good. See, good employee.
Definitely my favorite thing.
Definitely your favorite thing.
Player, baby.
It's also going to be, as we're rolling out, integrating Aereo more into our scheduling, I think it's going to be more useful for the employee. And we are also going to have everyone download the Aereo app for employees. Do you have that yet?
I do not.
Yeah. So there should be a way where we can, I believe the functionality is that you can also, hey, I'm running 5 minutes late, and it's going to be able to ping the agent, and it's going to be able to do all these things, right, Chelsea?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't utilized that yet, but
No.
how many features can Aereo roll out? Just like 5 million. I mean, proof positive, everyone on the team loves Aereo. So if you want your team to have something else that they love, not just their job because they work for you, get Aereo. Give it a shot. Aereo.com, ARYEO.com/upmarket, or use there's no /upmarket. Don't do that. That's not going to work. That's a dead URL right there. Go to Aereo.com, and as a new user, when you're checking out, you use the code upmarket, you're going to get 15 free bonus listings. Nikki, if there's one thing I know about you, it's you're a floor plan aficionado. I mean, as we all are. I mean, once you start working for Upmarket, the love of floor plans just seeps out of every pore of you.
Absolutely.
Oh, and I
love floor plans. I love a good floor plan.
Who doesn't, right? And we all know at Upmarket Media that one of the best ways to get a floor plan is second floor app. Come on, this is quick. You're going to get that GLA square footage. They just rolled it out. GLA square footage, like instantaneously. You walk that house, you scan that house with your phone, and you're going to get a floor plan immediately. You could deliver it to your agent if you so see fit. Although that's setting expectations really quite high. So I don't know that I recommend doing that, but you can. And that's one of the great things about Second Floor app. Is you get the whole floor plan with the GLA square footage instantaneously. It's the quickest way that you are going to get a floor plan, and it's completely accurate. We love Second Floor. Secondfloorapp.com/upmarket, and you're going to get a free month of service. you can do a ton of floor plans in a month. Secondfloorapp.com/upmarket. Social media sidebar. We are Upmarket.media across social media. The pod is Upmarket Pod across social media. We're gonna have more social media content. I keep saying it. One of these times it'll actually be true.
We're working on it.
Yeah, we're working on it. And we have a course on how to scale your real estate media business. Come on, that's upmarketcourse.com. You can book a call with me. I'll tell you all about it. Give you a super sweet, giant, big, great, awesome discount code. That's what I'm
well
gonna, that's what I'm gonna do. Thank you.
Juicy.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Nikki. Look, our my personal Instagram's Tall Reed Fish. Mark doesn't have one. He's all about work. It's Upmarket.media.
Pretty much.
Chelsea doing influence. Chelsea, I've seen on Feeding Beautiful that you're doing like not tie-ins. What are they called? Like your sponsored posts.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw that too. Yeah.
I have
Nice.
a few companies who have reached out to me and sent me stuff to post
awesome.
with discount codes. It's very exciting.
Did you know that you're sitting next to an influencer, Nikki?
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
so honored.
Yeah.
That sounds horrible. I hate that.
Your beef bourguignon is you're such an influencer. But yeah, the food content's coming in strong on Feeding Beautiful and definitely some partner ads or whatever. So I don't know, like a meal kit that it looks pretty good.
It was really good, actually.
All right.
Oh, I
I'm
missed that
not a
one.
big meal kit person, but I was so tired from cooking after all the holiday
Yeah.
huge meals for like 2 weeks straight.
Yeah.
And I just wanted something easy and it was really good. So yeah.
Have to
Hey,
look
well,
into
why don't
that.
you say the name of it and then maybe they'll send us a little dough.
It was Shop Seedy and it's spelled SHOPSEETI.
Okay. All right. Well, look it up on Chelsea's Instagram. Feeding Beautiful. So, Nikki, are you an influencer?
No, I'm not like Chelsea here.
Okay,
I mean, I do have an Instagram. It's Nikki Shoots. So NIKKI_shoots with a Z because I'm fancy.
Ooh, yeah.
With the Z at the
Because I'm
end, not at the
fancy.
beginning
You're
of shoots.
fancy.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not Jutes.
Nikki Shoots.
Right. And you've been putting a little bit of real estate photography on
Yes.
there, a little bit of other stuff.
I have some portrait stuff on there, but I'm definitely trying to focus on real estate more.
Nice. Yeah. But you don't post a ton.
Not a ton.
Yeah, but
Just the good
more
stuff, right?
more than me.
Yeah, try to do some behind the scenes stuff and then final
Funny you
edit
say
stuff.
that.
Yeah,
Chelsea's favorite words, yeah.
Well, and so one of the things, so it was funny. I was I was driving back from Palm Springs the other day, and I was listening to our podcast actually.
You just like the sound of your voice that much.
Well, I do like to listen back to the episodes occasionally. Look, I'm always trying to improve. And I listened to this one particular episode and I was like, God, there's so much good content here. And it was our last episode. It was about all the slow season stuff we should be doing. And as I was listening to it, I was literally like, that's a good idea. We should do that. And I'm like, oh, we are doing that. But, and so one of the things we're doing, which we should just touch on briefly here is, Chelsea, how are we on our social media calendar?
So I haven't,
or calendar
not the
and
calendar. I just
wow.
have an outline of like what our new weekly upload plan is going to be for our employees behind the scenes.
I keep waiting for that to hit the old inbox.
I was going to send it today.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
It's just a doc. No, it's just a doc. I just have to share it. But it's basically just like and we'll tweak it obviously, but a suggested upload plan and stuff that we should be creating, throughout the week. But right now it's just hard because it's slow. So there's not a lot of...
but this is the time to put the plan in place.
I just mean the shooters can't be sending behind the scenes right now.
So Nikki, part of what we are thinking about is having you guys kind of create more content for Upmarket Media, not for our clients. And I don't think it's that much, right?
No. It's just like at least one or two behind the scenes per day. So like if you have one shoot, at least one.
Yeah, just busting out your phone and getting a little something or a view shot
showing
or something
your face,
cool.
but then also showing the house,
Yeah,
showing what you're doing.
Yeah.
I
like
totally,
And
it's
you can
just
totally use it on your own Instagram too. Like,
Wait. You can?
What?
Well, yeah, she can be a collaborator. And do it together. Why not? Because then people get to know Nikki. That's the whole point, right?
Jeez. All right.
Don't be so greedy.
But then she's gonna steal our clients.
No. You don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. She doesn't like realtors as much as us, I don't think.
I've already had a few ask me if I freelance, and I was like, no, you can go through Upmarket.
Ball drops. Reed's like, wait a minute, let's touch base on this.
Yeah, we're gonna name some names on
that.
We do need a list of that, actually. That would be very helpful.
I think that's kind of cool, though, in a way. Like, people always ask for me, but if they're enjoying the experience of you shooting for them that much, then that's kind of a good sign. But maybe,
no, you know what it is? They think she'd charge them less. No offense. No, that's the number one reason.
I know what they're thinking.
Yeah.
I'm like, nope, you can call Chelsea. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Interesting. Okay. Well, one more thing I wanted to touch on very briefly, and it's kind of social media, is that as you may remember, we have our other podcast, which is called Real VC, which is all about Ventura County real estate. That kind of we kind of petered out over the, at the same time when we were doing a few less episodes of this, I was going through personal stuff. And the other big thing with that podcast is the idea is that it was hosted by me, and that then we would have different realtors come on each episode and talk about Ventura County real estate as kind of a marketing thing for us. And then it would also give us social media content. We could do reels and stuff. And, so that's why I bring it up here. But we are actually coming back with it. We are recording our next episode of it right after this. And we are excited because what we decided to do was get a permanent co-host. And so we got a local, a realtor who was on our podcast before, on the Real VC podcast before, and she just got a new position as a team leader at one of the local brokerages here. So I just said, oh, you know what? Why don't you be the permanent co-host? Because then what we can do is we can have a more consistent schedule, and we can still bring on other realtors as guests. But it's going to be a way for us to actually be able to produce an episode, even if we can't get anyone else, if we have someone who's kind of in it permanently. So that's kind of the update on that. And I'm excited about it because we've gotten so much good feedback about that podcast.
Yeah. And every time you go to a meeting or a networking thing, it's just like, oh, I saw this, I listened to that, and people like the agents are loving it. So it gives you something to talk about. Oh, we got a new episode coming out, and it just kind of keeps it fresh.
And so it's content. It's content, which is, and basically that's the whole point of what Chelsea is doing right now and coming up with the protocol for our shooters is we just need content, and we all need the content. And what is great about that podcast is it's actually not that hard to produce. And then it gives you a ton of content and a ton of like free advertising for yourself. So anyway, boom.
Yeah. I'm excited about the co-host. I mean, you'd think with 500 clients, it'd be easy to pull people in, but it's just been challenging. Yeah. So having that person there just available, like that's going to be money.
Yeah. And they're not a day-to-day realtor. They're a team leader. So part of their, basically her job is to recruit for her brokerage. So this is something that actually furthers her in, and not that it's going to be a hard sell from her, but it just puts her in a position of expertise in the community. So
she's excited about it. So that's super fun.
Stoked. She's super stoked about it. So that is awesome. So, all right, we'll be back, and we got the quad action item at the end of the show. So stick around for that. Okay, so Nikki, the big change we made that we kind of alluded to in the previous segment was you came to us as a photographer.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And this summer, because of our other staffing issues, we put video on your plate.
Yes.
And we cleared it with you first. We said, hey, how do you feel about that? Would you be up for learning video? And you were like, I could, I think you had a little trepidation in your voice, but you were game pretty quickly. So how has that gone for you?
It's been much easier than I expected, actually.
Oh, just like everything in this job. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I think, since I started with you guys, I feel like you've hinted to video a few times. Like you've asked me if I would be open to it in the future. And then, when we had our so-called staffing issues, it kind of became a necessity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was definitely just a little stressed about it at first, just because I thought every shot had to be like just so and perfect and perfectly level and perfectly still. And so I was pretty stressed out about it at first, but, you know, I just kind of had to dive into it. And after about a week or two, I was like, oh, okay. It's not as much as I was thinking it would be.
Right. And most of what we do is on a gimbal. I think that was one of the challenges you had initially. It's like, well, this thing's heavier than I thought. I can't keep it steady.
And I
like
have
it was
tiny wrists and tiny forearms.
Yeah, you're not like a giant person.
No.
Yeah.
And I'm not a very strong person either. So I'm like, I don't know if I can hold this thing. But, you know, you guys got me the mini one.
Mini,
and I was like, okay.
The Nikki version.
I can manage this.
And have you been able to manage it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Well, and so but you're feeling, I mean, I guess the other angle to take on that is like, as an employee and as employers, we're always like, well, you want to make sure that I think that your employees feel like they have room to grow, right? That it's not just, this is the job and it's a dead end job and there's never going to be anything more than that. Right. I mean, is that something that was in your mind? And or even just in the back of your mind, and that like you're like, oh, this is great, I'm learning this new skill, or were you just like, okay, I'll you know, kind of begrudgingly doing it?
No, not at all. I was definitely, because I'd done some kind of video stuff in the past, not with like a gimbal or anything, but you know, so I kind of had an idea and already about kind of what to look for and how to shoot, but I didn't feel like that at all. I was excited to get the additional training for sure and to use some different equipment and
it kind of freshens for me. Like I've been shooting houses for almost 10 years, this photo shoot, and you're just like, you could do it with your eyes closed and it's, you know, it's not that creative, but then just suddenly the video part is like so much more creative and it's just like, gives you a fresh look on things and it just, you're kind of walking in like, oh, I got to like, you know. Yeah.
And you do kind of see how there's some similarities too, just about like what shots kind of work and what to kind of look for. So having the eye for the photos does kind of translate into the video too. So, but yeah, I was definitely willing and excited about taking that on, you know, and kind of learning how to do that too. So.
We kind of both went through that at the same time.
I know.
Training, you know, with Dustin before he left and Marco and, you know, just figuring out what our workflow was going to be.
Sure.
And it's like, now I look at your videos and I'm like, oh, she did this. That's kind of cool. And maybe I can do it. So it's kind of like, I think we can play off of each other a little bit. And
right. And every house is different. And, you know, you can kind of.
Yeah, they're all the same. I mean, when it comes down to it, you got the damn front door, you got the living room, you got the bathroom. Geez.
Yeah, some shots are similar. They just might look a little bit different.
I think one of the challenges that we both kind of faced was like, one of our big brokerage clients is like, we have a deal with them to create 30-second videos, which is like so short.
How?
You walk into a 3,000 square foot house with a big backyard and a pool, and you're like, how am I going to squeeze this?
This can't be. Yeah. And so usually in that case, I ask the agent, like, what in particular do you want to make sure is featured in this video? Because you got 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's a great opportunity to say, oh, but you can upgrade to a longer version for this amount of money. So that should be in your hip pocket at all times.
Totally. Because it's easy to overshoot and over deliver to the editor, and they're trying to squeeze it in and it's too rushed. And it's like, so that was part of the workflow that for me was challenging. And it still is, because you don't want to be like, wow, where's that bedroom? And you didn't shoot it.
Yeah.
So you kind of want to have it in your back pocket. But.
Right. Yeah. I will try to shoot, you know, if the agent isn't there to answer my questions, I'll shoot as much as I can within the time that I have. And that way, if they do come back and say, hey, where's this room? I'll have the footage in case they come back.
Much better than having to revisit later.
Right.
Yeah. I've been impressed with how you picked that up so quickly and how you were eager to do it. I'm just like, wow.
I think we all have. I think Chelsea's like nodding. Oh yeah.
Both of you were so quick with it. I was not expecting it to happen so fast and so smoothly.
We have Marco back in the fold now, who's great at video. But before that, it was you, and I was like, man, if it's just me doing video, I'm like, but then having you and you being so good at it, it's just like,
thanks.
And then Marco too. And now it just like, it feels like we're in a good place with video.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay, and look, and let's be clear here. As I ask this question, we're not looking for butt kissing from you guys on this. I mean, maybe a little bit, but not much. But do you? And this is for both of you. Do you feel like in our company there is room to grow? That there is a path. That it's not like a dead end job. And really, you can be. I want complete honesty in this.
Who's going first?
Chelsea.
I can. Yeah. So for my job, I think right now, yes, I would say. I just don't know which direction it would go.
Right.
Whether that's like moving up to more marketing stuff or because like, admin, there's only so much you can grow to.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So
and as we try to automate some more admin things, it
then
should free
what?
up some more time.
Yeah, but exactly. Then it's like you could go many different directions.
Yeah.
You could go, into the HR stuff, or there's so many different ways you could go. So yes, I do think there's room to grow. It's just a question of where, like which way do you go?
Sure. All right. Well, that's good.
And maybe we're bringing on our VA who can hopefully offload certain things that you're just like not excited to do or don't want to do anymore. So we can kind of tailor your role to be like
right.
You're excited in things that you want to do and that you're really good at.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nikki?
Yeah. I mean, I see some room for, I think I'm eventually going to take Reed's position, actually.
There you go.
Look out.
Dare to dream for both of us, baby.
I know you would probably like
Don't
that.
tempt him.
I think she's
Reed's
hosting.
like, sure, fine, here you go. Here's my workload.
Yeah. As long as I keep my salary, it's all yours.
Yeah. No, I mean, I see room for growth. I mean,
But it just doesn't feel like it's it's not like working at McDonald's.
No, not at all. But at the same time, like, something you guys talk about a lot is work-life balance. And
totally.
As much as, I like this job very much, I'm content with it. It's it's my means to an end. It's, pays my bills and,
and you can turn it off on the weekends and stuff, right?
Exactly. So I'm just like, I'm comfortable with it. I'm content with it. Like if there's growth, then awesome. That's great. But at the same time, I'm good with it as is.
Yeah. And I think you've grown a lot in the last year, obviously with the video and everything and the
just
drone.
in the last
you can rest for a little bit. You don't have to grow.
I'm good.
But
sail.
It actually, that speaks to a certain, kind of what I wanted to hit on a little bit with this too is the personality types of people, right? We're all a little bit different. And I know for me, I think it's really hard to be an employee. That's not a role that I don't know if I have too giant of an ego or I just am like,
sounds
I don't
right.
know. Yeah, exactly. That fits.
That tracks.
Or what it is, like I feel this need to be independent, but then I think other people thrive in an environment where they are not that they're told what to do, but where they have a structure in place and that security and whatever. And you don't, because for us, we don't have the security that, you guys don't have total security either, but it's like, making the payroll is hard sometimes. Right. So
that's absolutely me. Like I've had people ask me, do you see yourself kind of doing this on your own?
Right.
And I'm like, no, definitely not. I'm not that. I don't have the drive to or the desire really to run my own business. So I'm happy to be an employee and be told what to do and my work
be good
scheduled for me. And
show up and do what you're good at and
absolutely.
leave all the BS.
That's definitely my personality type.
And the funny thing is like I would almost frame that question. Well, do you have ambition to do that? And I don't think it is, because I actually think of you as a person with ambition, because you actually are like, oh, I want to be better. And to me, ambition is like, oh, I want to be better at it. But you don't have ambition in a way to have your own company or whatever, because your work-life balance does suffer a lot if you have your own company.
And that's definitely, really important to me. My job's important, but my life outside of my job's important too. So
yeah.
I'm running my own business. You have a lot less time for the other stuff.
There is no off button, right? It's like, I'll go work for myself and I'll never ever rest or turn it off or.
Yeah. But Chelsea, you've straddled both of those worlds though, right? Being an employee and being an entrepreneur yourself.
Yeah. So I think I'm much more like you in that sense, where there is some push-pull there, because I am very good at taking care of other people. Like that's always been my role. So I feel like I'm not to sound like this, but I feel like I am a good assistant or, office manager, because that's just, I've always known that. I've always done that. But I also have this very strong creative drive. Like that is what keeps me going on. And I know that eventually one day I do want to do something with that. I just have no idea what it is. So I have too many ideas to hone in on one.
Right.
So for me, it's just that, that push pull where I am happy. I love what I do, but I also know that like I need that thing on the side to be my creative outlet. Right. So that's why I do the cooking stuff, because it keeps me, if I didn't do that, I would get burnt out. Like,
yeah. And I think, we recognize that as employers and having a big enough team to allow you guys the flexibility, like, oh, I need Wednesdays off. It's like, all right, well, let's make that happen. If you want Fridays off or whatever it's going to be for you and your situation.
I love that.
Yeah. Well, and I think we've struggled with that with other employees. And I think, I think ultimately Dustin left because he didn't want to be an employee. And because I think he also had more creative ambitions or had, his heart wasn't in it. And I think you could always tell he was grumbling when he was told what to do, and not told what to do in a bad way, but just like, oh, can you do this? And it'd be better if I did it this way. And, and so I think he had, not too much. I mean, and it works for him. It's great for him. This is not a denigration of him whatsoever, but he just had more, he was really just an independent guy. Yeah. And so I think he bristled at, being an employee really.
Yeah. And when your heart isn't in it, it's reflected in
absolutely
the way you do your work and the way you interact with the agents and stuff, and they can sense it.
Oh yeah. They sense it, and then the work shows it. Absolutely. And then it's just like a downward spiral. So.
Right.
Yeah. So it is interesting as we think about how, as the team expands and whatever, and as we hire people, it's like, is trying to find that person who has that personality, in these times when we get all these resumes of people who are like, into cinema and like doing, they're showing their big creative reels, and you're like, well, I know they're technically proficient, but maybe those people are actually not the right people to have for the long term. And we also think about, there's probably a shelf life for most employees. Like, it is a bit of a grind, and it's like, how long do you want to stay on that grind? But I feel like with you, Nikki, like, I could see you leaving in a year, or I could see you staying for another 10 years. Because I think I see the joy that you take in the work.
Oh yeah, you're not Chelsea, getting rid of me anytime soon.
Yeah, and Chelsea, I have no idea. You
said that before. I'm never leaving. You guys can.
Yeah, all right, sounds good to me.
You're not going to get rid of me that easy.
No. We're happy to have you, and to as long as possible, obviously. So, that is interesting to think about.
That's important. Yeah. Cause I think, as we've shown, like, if you can train me to do video, if you can learn video having, minimal to no experience, then what we do on a skill level is trainable. It's all trainable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other part is the personality, all the intangible stuff around that. That's so important and so hard to train for. That's just ends up being so much more important.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely. And another question for both of you. What could Mark and I do better as employers?
Oh man, let's see. I made a list. Oh man, I really thought about this, and I really couldn't think of anything. I've told you guys in the past, like, you guys are so accommodating, and you communicate with us so well, and
agreed.
Never feel any hesitation to like let you know if something's like, if there's something I'm struggling with, or I need this or I need that. Mm-hmm. Except for that bag for my.
I knew you were going to say that.
I still need a bag for my gimbal. Okay. I'm really sick of carrying that thing around in a box.
Find a bag and I'll buy it for you. Because I looked around and I'm like, yeah.
I was looking at. I'll tell you about that later. Yeah. But anyway, gosh, I really couldn't think of anything. I tried thinking about something.
You did? You knew I was going to ask that question?
I anticipated it. We talked on the phone yesterday, and I was like, oh man, I have nothing but good things to say.
Oh, well, I wasn't fishing for compliments.
That's awesome.
I know.
That was a genuine.
I know.
With Chelsea?
Well, no, I totally agree. You guys are very accommodating. You always are understanding of, how I'm feeling, and always check in with me. I think I am a little more hesitant to reach out if I'm feeling a certain way. And it's only because I don't want to let you guys down.
No.
So, and I think I've been like that since day one. Like I'm always just,
right.
And I'll, even when I brought up recently that I just was feeling a little like overwhelmed with stuff with home and work and work-life balance. It just took me a little while to reach out and tell you guys that because I don't want it to affect my work because I really do love working with you guys. So,
yeah. And we want, I feel like we need to have that conversation. You've mentioned
one day
it.
we will see, but I'm still like putting
tell
it
us
off
what you want.
because
Like we
I
want
don't.
that.
Yeah.
Well, we do. We have meetings with the employees scheduled next week. Although yours is not on the books, Chelsea, so we got to figure that out.
I think that's encouraging. Right?
Yeah, I don't know. That makes me feel good. I mean, I think we just want to foster an environment where people feel heard and they feel valued. I mean, those are the biggest things, right?
Absolutely.
And so yeah.
I don't think I've ever any of my previous jobs I've never felt more valued. To be honest,
that's for sure.
Well, I think that's, if people are listening, thinking about hiring shooters, or you're thinking, I need someone to do this for me. It's like, well, you need that's fine. But like, what do you need to do for that person to make them heard and have it be flexible and have it fit? Yeah. And everyone's different. Like every one of our employees has different needs and we kind of meet them where they're at.
And even just, expressing appreciation for your employees and making sure that they feel valued.
Well, yeah. I mean, without you, we're nothing. Well, we got
without us, we couldn't be doing this podcast.
Exactly. And our employees are our biggest asset. I get not that we own you, but that it's like they're what makes our company great. Hopefully we are great. And so it's I don't know. It's just like I think I go back to what we talked about at PMRE last year in my talk was that we're trying to create a better life for everyone, and I think that if we come with that attitude of like we want you're going to work for us, and look, some of it sucks, it's work, it's just like any job, but it's like ultimately we want the experience of working with us to make your life better, right? And that's the whole point. And then if we can do that, if we all do that, then we all grow together and we all become more successful together. So I think that's the philosophy that we've always taken. And, and sometimes I know we have to strike that balance of like, we want you all to be happy, but we also don't want ourselves to not be happy too, And so sometimes, it's like, you're like, well, we just got to have them do it. And I know it sucks, but because I can't do it. And I don't want to do it.
It's like, don't want to do that Matterport. It's like, sorry, you got to suck it up and do the Matterport. It's like, whatever it is. Yeah.
Because there are some perks to owning the business. You're like, I'm not doing that. So anyway, all right. Well, look, I don't have a fancy segue for action items this week. Yeah. But we are going to take some action, and we are going to say that our action items are sponsored by Pixel CRM. That's Pixl CRM, the only CRM that I'm aware of that is specifically designed for real estate media businesses. You can do, Mark, so many things in it. I mean, I can't even list the things.
Too many.
It's almost too many.
We're
almost
still
too many
getting
things.
to figure getting to know it.
But the power of, even if you can just do one or two of these things that it does, like, we're really anticipating, like, for instance, our reviews on Google reviews getting, going off the charts as we're kind of integrating a system of asking for reviews after each shoot. So we're really excited about our use of Pixel CRM. If you want to check it out, you can do, I think they have webinars, they have you can do a call with Pete. It's Pixel CRM pixelcrm.com/upmarket, pixlcrm.com/upmarket, and you're going to get $200 off. Woo!
Wow.
$200.
That's nice.
Who doesn't want $200? Okay, God, we got the 4-way action items here. Oh my goodness.
Way too much action.
I think I'm gonna go first because I've been trying to tailor mine to the topic, and this is completely off topic. But it's something we're thinking, we're not thinking about, but we're planning on doing for the new year, is which we haven't done in the past, is having a monthly kind of call meeting with Mark and I and our CFO on our financials. Mm-hmm. So we kind of do review our financials, but we're going to sit down and actually have an hour long or, half hour long call to go over the numbers, see what's working, what isn't, what we need to look out for. So, because we all want a better handle, because this last year was so hard, and cash flow was a big issue at certain times, that we're anticipating 2024 is going to be a better year in that way. But I think we also want to make sure that we are, keeping enough money for payroll and doing this and doing that, and, seeing that we are making profit and that everything is kosher. So, we're going to have that monthly meeting. So I encourage you to make sure that you do look at your books and go over it, whether it's a me meeting or whether it's with, other people in your company each month.
Yeah. I'm excited about that. I mean, we have our bookkeeper, we have our P&L, we kind of glance at it, we look at it, we discuss it a little bit, but we need more dedicated time on it.
But so much of it is like, oh, how much cash do we have in the bank account? Okay. Mm-hmm. And then that's my metric of success, which is not a good metric. No. But you want to be aware, because you're like, oh, I want to make sure we have enough money. I'm looking like not for this payroll, but for the next one. And so you want to make sure that you have enough money in there to cover our payroll, because we get paid by payroll. Mark and I do. So it's super, super important for us too. So
of course.
Yeah. Mark, you go next.
And I'll go next.
We'll make the employees go last. We're making you do it. Sorry.
All right. So my one is related. It's employee related. And, we have Nikki in here with us. And we, if you don't know already, we consider you an A player.
Oh.
I don't know what that means, but sounds good.
And Chelsea too.
Well, of course, Chelsea.
I didn't take it like that. No. We have different
We wanted to have Marco in here too, but the scheduling just didn't work out. But you're here, and I think this was a good episode to look at what you're bringing and what your kind of take is on things. And if we could clone you and replicate you and have 10 of you, I think we would try to do that.
I don't know. So that sounds like trouble.
Yeah, that's a lot of Nikki.
That's a lot of Nikki.
It's kind of a point to reflect back, like, how did we find you? What qualities did you have that kind of made you an A player and make us want to clone you and do all those things? So to me, it was like, when I look, like we talked about, the training part is relatively easy. It's kind of the action item is when you're looking for someone, specifically a shooter, if they know their way around a camera, great. But you want to really hire for all the intangible things around that, the personality, are they showing up on time? And I think we kind of worked that into our hiring process when we found you. It's like, did you write a cover letter? Did you show up on time? Did you answer certain questions in a way that would allude to you being a good person to do what we do outside of the actual shooting part of it?
Right. Because that's the most important part.
Yeah. Really? That's what it comes down to. That's what, that's why you're so successful.
You also have to do the other thing.
And a lot of it you don't know. You're kind of taking, a leap of faith with someone, but obviously it worked out with you. So how do we replicate that? And how, if you're looking to hire someone, how do you find a Nikki for yourself?
Yeah. I think, and I'm saying this just because I've been told this at a previous job, kind of a big key for my previous employer. She said, you called us. Like you saw a job posting and you called us. Right. You didn't apply online. You didn't and my previous employer, she said, when I told my husband that you called to ask about the position, he told me you need to hire her, just from that point alone.
Nice.
Right.
And I did that with Upmarket as well. Mm-hmm. I saw a job posting online and I called and I talked to Chelsea. I just called.
Yeah. Right. Take the initiative, right?
Yeah.
Go above and beyond.
I don't want to be just another online applicant. I want to stand out. So I just call. Mm-hmm. Plus, you never know if that job posting is old. And
it was.
That's what she said.
Yeah. We had already hired Marco.
Yeah. She told me, she's like, I don't know why that's still there, but she started asking me some questions. So I think that when someone takes the initiative to reach out, take that little extra step, I think that's a good sign of somebody who has actual interest and isn't afraid to take.
Look at the A player coming in with actionable stuff on Mark's action items. Look at that. That is great. And for the record,
so am I done?
No. Oh God, no. Okay. But for the record, I do want to say too that we love Marco and Jazz, our other two employees too. It just worked out to have Nikki here, and she's been here 2 years, and so we love them too. No shade on them for not being on the podcast today. Hopefully we'll have them on at a different time. Chelsea, come on. Let's end with Nikki. We'll end with the A player.
Yeah, mine is not related, so I'm not going to stack on the A player.
That's all right.
But so just starting the new year, something I noticed looking at our website, there were some things that we've been talking about updating, and I think now is a good time to just look at your website or your price sheet, make sure everything is up to date, all your prices are where you want them to be. Go through your website with a fine-tooth comb, and just like, for example, our thing that we need to update is our Airbnb VRBO page, or even if it's just a button saying like, for those services, please call or inquire here. Just make sure everything is exactly where you want it to be, so that when things do pick up, you're ready to go.
There you go.
And I think, Airbnb is, VRBO, they're just such a big player now that we're constantly getting phone calls and people.
Right. And our rates, we typically charge 3 times our real estate rate.
Yeah.
And so that's a big explainer that Chelsea has to do on the phone. And they're like, what?
And on that note, if you are shooting Airbnb for regular rate, please don't. You're getting ripped off big time.
Came off a shoot that took me 3 times longer. And I was like, oh boy, this is a headache.
That's just not fair. So,
and again, the way we frame it is like, you get the license for the real estate photos is for the life of the listings. The license, we give a 5-year license for the Airbnb photos, and only charge you 3 times the real estate rate. What a bargain. What a bargain.
So just, make sure everything's up to date, up to code, how you want it to be for the year, and that way it's smooth sailing.
Right. Nikki.
Well, my action item is probably not like amazing, but I'm just thinking about, as a photographer working for a real estate media company, and I know that we do this. I forgot what you called it earlier, about sending information to the agent about
the home prep guide.
Yes, the home prep guide. Yeah. I know a lot of times they don't even read it or pay attention, but some of them do. And I just feel like, as a photographer, that can be so helpful if the agent has an idea ahead of time what they need to do to prepare the home for the photographer. Like I said, I know a lot of them don't always listen to it, but it's still helpful to have something that you send them ahead of time, and hopefully they can, follow that. And that just makes the job as a photographer so much easier when that's just a few less things they have to be concerned about.
So it's us as an employer, like training our clients better to make your job more efficient. Better.
Yeah. And just the more, like, I know you probably don't want to put too much on there, because the more that's on there, the less they're going to see, but something just to kind of help them know what they can do to speed things along once we arrive.
Setting their expectations to help you.
Exactly.
Yeah. I like it.
Hot take.
Thank you, Nikki.
I don't know if you mentioned that before, probably, but.
Yeah. No, it's all great. I appreciate it. That's great. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, I know you're a listener of the pod, so now you get to listen to yourself, so that's kind of fun.
I know.
Well, you know what we're going to do? Another podcast in a couple weeks. So come back then, and we're going to have a lot more for this year. And I hope everyone's getting the new year started off right. And thank you, everybody. Upmarket is a production of Upmarket Studios. This episode was produced by Chelsea Froehlich and edited by Bethany Diedrich. Thank you so much for listening, and we really hope you listen to the next one too. In the meantime, our wish for you is to not have to shoot any Friday night twilight shoots. Thank you for everything.